Can you beat 300 rounds of cornfield without harvesting a single piece of wheat?
Can I have some wheat thins?
They're wheat thins.
That's what I said, wheat thins.
Wheat thins.
Wheat thins.
Wheat thins.
Well, today we find out. To kick things off, we're gonna just do a pretty casual run. But I can tell you right off the bat, it probably isn't gonna be too easy without the help of a few powers.
You lie.
And the powers you will see will come pretty crucial, and this run actually is more to talk about powers more than anything. It is obviously to beat 300 rounds on cornfield without it, but I do want to try and play around with powers because I need to familiarize myself with this, and if I do want to do some pretty crucial late game runs later on. But for now, we'll go for a nice normal setup. Focus pretty heavily on farming here because I do want to get up a banana central as soon as possible. We can only really fit one farm here, so let's get moving with that. This will be a super heavily Paragon focused run since we don't have anything else to really deal with, well, anything. So as we get up and started, yeah, we'll go for a farm and a dart to hold off. Apex will probably be one of the more crucial Paragons here, so we're going to rush to get this ASAP. We'll also allow the use of powers for some of the stuff, as I mentioned, so we're going to start with a pool, which I don't usually use, but today we're going to also use a tech bot and a farmer, and there's going to be a few time stops that I use later on, but I'll kind of discuss that as we go. So, as you see, they're placed in these locations because they don't take up too much space, and also there's a few towers here, if you didn't realize, that could fit between the cornfields, the corn rows, I don't know, whatever the corn, the IC, I don't, that makes no sense. Anyways, from some tests actually, I realized that buying and reselling overclock wasn't really worth it. So instead we bum rush our BRF first and then our overclock. But then round 40 is already a problem. So here I decide to get a balloon trap to help farm a little bit more and make up a little bit more cash. I realized as I was playing this is not very optimal, and this is not going to be for NG Paragon. In fact, I'm not even sure if I will go for an NG Paragon. I'm still kind of debating as I play this, so we'll kind of see. We'll worry about that later on. In fact, I actually sell it again almost immediately. However, on round 46, I start leaking some lives, so I get Ultra Jug now, so I can hold off for a little while. Because honestly, Ultra Jug early on will be pretty crucial in getting us all the pops that we need. Man, I keep forgetting how amazing Ultra Jug is on this map. I also get a bottom cross path for overclock because it's more effective at decamo. And also U-Jug needs a little bit more of camo detection because I didn't go bottom cross path with my Ultra Jug. But eventually, we get our Banana Central round 58, and I get it mid-round by selling my overclock to get it as soon as possible. It's honestly worth it because Banana Central literally in one round will make our money back, and then we'll get overclock in a matter of seconds. And as you see here, round 59, overclock again, pretty straightforward. And because Ultra Jug is actually holding off pretty well, the next thing we're actually going to get is an Ultra Boost. One really nice thing about this, if you haven't seen the change yet, is that Ultra Boost uptime is now 100% for tier 5 towers. And that's amazing. I think I'll try and aim for a degree, maybe 80 Apex if I can, and hopefully that should be plenty. I actually don't want to sell my Banana Central as much as possible because buying and reselling here is not super beneficial. And I do want to try and generate as much cash as possible before, I guess, leaking and dying. So as you kind of see this, I actually make one big mistake on this round, which I honestly think I could have optimized much better just re-looking at it, but I realized I couldn't get away with it, so I do. But one thing I realized is I could have gone for a lot of elite sniper farming instead to generate even more cash, but I decided not to, and for some reason I decided to just get up a bunch of darts to start trying to get more pops ASAP, but honestly it wasn't really worth it. I think I probably could have gone more snipers, a Spirit of the Forest, gotten a lot more cash, but hindsight is 2020. Also, random fact, I also found out I can fit a banana farmer here as well, so thank you so much. I would not like to micro as much as I would. Around the 90s, I change up a little bit and I actually start changing my Ultra Boost. I start Ultra Boosting some of the other towers, especially Ultra Jug, so that I can try and get as close to 16.2 million pops. I'm pretty sure it won't make it, but honestly, you never know. And it can ensure that I don't die too quickly. And I also realized partway that they need a little bit more oomph. So I actually get a Perma Brew instead to try and maximize my damage. But even here, so this is like even more where I didn't optimize as much as I could have. My Perma Brew is actually outside of range of my Ultra Jug. Yikes. So that was my bad. But with a little bit of micro on Ultra Boost and actually even on my Crossbow Master in the middle here, we end up beating the first 100 rounds. 1/3 down, 2/3 to go. I also realized that I'll probably need to get on my Apex pretty quickly. I really don't have anything for DDTs, and the only real D camo that I have is my Ultra Boost, which is not the best thing to have as a D camo. And as you see here, round 103 is a real pain. And in fact, the next few rounds just get harder and harder. So many fortified ZOMGs, it really seems really close to possible. With good Plasma Monkey fan club timing, we eventually make it work. But then eventually I hit round 111, which was a little bit too thick for me. So I end up just going for my Apex and we end up getting a solid degree 71, which I'm okay with. I'm not super pleased, but I'm not terribly dissatisfied either. I think 71 is okay. I try and do it with a bit more sacrifices to see if I can get any higher degrees. However, when I test it and throw in more cash, I only get it to 72. So with that in mind, I just scrap the sacrifices, I keep my Banana Central, and decide to stick with 71, and that should be good enough for me. Next up will be our Ninja Paragon, which should be pretty vital, so hopefully it can do well. But Apex will probably steal most of its pops. Well, it's okay still. We hold off pretty well for a while. I do want to get up some other Paragons ASAP, but I do need to farm away pretty hard as well, because if I don't farm now, I won't be able to afford everything. And that's again where I kind of go back to the point where I probably should have gotten some other farming towers as well. I was too focused on just a Banana Central, but we patiently just move along until about round 170, where I need to start going back and forth between Grand Sabo and using regular Sabo to slow down the DDTs, because DDTs are becoming a problem. And eventually, on round 181, we get a little bit stuck. So after some calculations, I settle for a degree 60. Then, you guessed it, I keep farming away. I actually get up some farming towers instead finally at this point, but I realized it was a little bit too late maybe. But you know what, can't win them all. Let's just hope that my Banana Central made us enough money for at least a few other Paragons. And so round 200 is a pretty obvious dead end because we can't beat the fortified bat. So now we have to move on to our new setup, and probably going to be the setup for the rest of the game. So given the size of this pool, you can fit quite a few things here. So we go for actually a tier 1 Navark. Again, Navark is mostly used for the hooking abilities anyway, so I don't need to make it super OP. I would love to give it more degrees, obviously, to do more damage, but we have other Paragons that we need to focus on a little bit, so let's worry about that. Next up, we also get a degree 1 sub-Paragon. Final Strike, as far as I'm concerned, will not do too much more damage than if it was a degree 100, and this will just focus more on cooldowns, which will be necessary for the next Paragon in mind, which will be Magus. With that in mind, we get an Archmage here to start farming pops as much as possible, because this will also be our main DPS. It'll be one of the few towers that can see over walls. So on top of the pool, you can actually fit quite a bit more. So what I do is I throw in a Zealy right behind here on the top left corner, which you see me throwing her in here right now, highly benefiting from Sub-Paragon's buff. I know a lot of people say that Adora is nerfed, and I do agree, Adora is nerfed, but for other towers like Azili, this is definitely a buff. Sub-Paragon submerged, and Navark on last, even though again won't matter too much. Next up, an extremely tiny space for another sniper here to farm a little more still. And also, I forgot, Navark will also net us some cash as well, which is pretty nice. A Wizard Lord Phoenix here, along with another carrier flagship for even more tower placements. Because I went for a degree 1 Navark, carrier flagship was probably pretty beneficial. And a Trade Empire here for additional sellback, but obviously more cash generation. I also stick an XXXL trap here to start farming pops for NG Paragon, which I actually decide to scrap, but you'll see momentarily. And finally, a Spirit of the Forest for even more, you guessed it, cash. Holy moly, look at this abomination. It's a lot, but it'll be worth it, hopefully. Trust, I don't know if it's worth it. Somebody help me. I don't know what I created. I use Navark abilities for around 200, quick and easy. Sub Paragon gets the cooldown up very fast. And now, we're 2/3 done, only 1/3 to go. This is the end game, and this will probably be the hardest part of this final run. Hopefully Azili also levels up pretty quick, but I actually realized that she levels up so fast in literally a few rounds. On round 206, she's already around 20. I think she actually got it earlier, but I'm not sure if this has to do with the bug. Like maybe it's a bug with Energizer on Nautic Siege Core. I'm not sure, but you know what? We take it. And then here I notice my XXXL trap is worthless and can't reach. So I just sell it and I end up changing it to another sniper to farm a little bit more. And from here is where things start to get tricky. I start circulating between abilities. So I use Navark Hook-In to Azili's Hex to deal with all the F-Bads. Normal bads aren't a problem yet. On round 227, I use Nautic Siege Core ability, but otherwise nothing really exciting happens. I'm just still juggling abilities. And so we fast forward ahead to round 247. And on this round, we end up getting a little bit stuck. So we get a degree 40 Magus Perfectus, which should hopefully be alright. Here's hoping. Finally another sniper, and we farm away even more. After round 250, it's the final 50 rounds. I'm getting pretty close and every round is literally life and death now. Honestly, not sure what much more I can really get here. Around 257, it's looking extremely tight. I barely beat that round. Oh my gosh, look at that F-Bad. I thought I died actually. I also do end up losing once here, but I decide for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna push through and do whatever I can take to make this work. Even if I need to spend all my monkey money, even though I don't have any. On round 262, we finally come to a little bit of a wall, and from here it's looking very tight. I know here you can probably be like,
bro, why don't you just sell an ice monkey or sell a tower and put an ice monkey and put Legend of the Night?
I could, but I decided not to because, well, I really thought that having the carrier flagship with the 2 platforms, and especially because there's Nautic Siege Core now, was a little bit more beneficial because I do need the cooldowns for Hook-Ins and for Azili, but it's hard to say. You could make an argument for both, and I probably could agree. This is where powers will eventually come into play. So then on round 262, we finally get the rest of our setup. We get a degree 21 Glaive Dominus, which should be good enough. I wanted a 20, but whatever, 1 degree, again, won't make too much of a difference. And I also deliberately don't sell a sniper in the middle here because from what I tested, I actually can't replace the sniper because the platform for Navark and the platform for carrier flagship kind of overlap with that platform, so I'm not able to put a tower in properly. So instead what I do is I make this an elite sniper instead. I put a glue storm at the back in place of the previous elite sniper, a cripple Moab on top with faster firing actually, because usually I'll be focusing more on one F-Bad. I probably could have gone shrapnel shots, but I don't think it mattered too much. And thankfully we can finally beat 262, but even so barely. And from here, it's a good mix. Again, just juggling between Azili timing, Navar Cookin, Magus's Metamorphosis, and on round 275, we can't seem to beat it. I could, again, go for Legend of the Night, but I decide here I want to try Powers. I'm going to go for a power run anyways, so I can start, I guess, acclimatizing myself to time stops. So if you didn't know, time stops is one of the few powers that are wonderful for Paragon specifically. Essentially what they do is they decrease the speed of balloons, but they also decrease the attack speed of normal towers. But Paragons are not affected. So Paragons essentially are allowed to attack just as fast. While this would hamper other towers, this is great for a Paragon run. And so it seems like at this point, almost every round after that needs at least one time stop, give or take. One thing that's great is that it also doesn't affect abilities either. So this actually makes Azili even stronger as well. So some rounds on 270 you're able to beat without time stops. This is partially due to RNG rounds. The 280s are also a different story. And I know I can buy and resell Azili as well, but this is partially more of a casual run. And as you see, some rounds are just really random. Like if you see here around 282, there's literally one fortified bad and one normal bad. Huh? Like, are you kidding me? that's crazy. Then there's some rounds like 287 where holy moly, that's so close. 290s are not possible as much as I would like to try. So almost every round from here, I end up using one time stop. Should hopefully be enough for us. And honestly, playing with this, I see time stops are pretty OP. And oops, I say that as I accidentally leak a DDT on round 293. And let's restart that one last time. And one thing that helps from restarting as well is you're able to refresh all your cooldowns. And damn, 299 hits me as well. And I was really close. I was too lazy. I needed to use 2 time stops here, but I was just too lazy to use it. So this time I do it. I use both and yeah, I'm able to beat it. And with that, we make it to round 300. And just to clean it up, one more time stop and we beat it. So yes, it's possible with powers, and I actually think maybe overall with some better rearranging of some towers in terms of damage, probably trying to farm a little better early on and also rearranging where I put my Paragon degrees. So maybe more into Magus, maybe more into Apex of some sort. I'm not sure, but I feel like this probably could have helped out a ton. This is more to test and play with powers so I can get accustomed to them before my big highest run. So stay tuned for that. And really quickly, let's go over a quick pop count. Ascended Shadow with 437 million. And as requested, Banana Farmer with 1.8 million cash. Good job, buddy. Magus at 170 million. Actually did pretty well overall. So this is where I thought probably could have given Magus a bit more degrees and just focus more on my damage there. Apex with 293 million. Again, holding us pretty well for the most part. Navark at degree 650 million. Navark degree 1 at 650 million. And Sub Paragon at 20 million. Again, more for the cooldown for the Paragon's abilities. And Glaive here at 27 million. And I think this is another mistake. Maybe, I'm not sure. I noticed Glaive actually saved us a few times, so I can't complain too much. I was thinking about getting NG as well, but Glaive, you know what? I stand by Glaive here. And finally, Azili at 454 million. All decent. Again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and sub if you're new. Comment me your challenge ideas if you have some, and I will filter through them, and if I find one interesting, I'll definitely test them out. And I will see you all in the next video.